Here we go. I was supposed to be there. That's what I thought, and that's what I said. The second day of anything is supposed to be better than the first day. The first day has its hiccups and its hitches and all things like that. The second day is supposed to be so much better, and this is what I thought. I was working on a study. The study was about transportation, using Uber versus contemporary cabs. And I was a site manager, meaning all I had to do was sit on my butt, eat the food from the respected restaurant that I was at, and check people in. If you came in from a cab, I said, oh, you got to take an Uber to your next destination. If you came in from an Uber, you got to take a cab to your next destination, and so it went. This next place was called the Rainbow Cafe. It's pretty popular in Chicago, close to downtown, west of it, and everyone talked about the turkey burgers and the smoothies. The first thing I know is when you go to an establishment, whether you're working or whatever the case may be, you buy something. You give patronage to the establishment and you tip. Well, I did so. Turkey burger, fries, no salt, and a strawberry banana smoothie. And I found my station. I set up a table, set up my laptop and my papers and everything. A more mature gentleman came by and he spoke. I didn't know whether it was Russian, but I knew it was Eastern European. He says, good afternoon, how are you? I said, and I told him, I'm good. Enjoying the food here. He says, very good, very good. Okay, enjoy your stay. I said, thank you. And I went about my business. I started at 3 o'clock, and everything was going pretty smooth. Till about 5:15. The same gentleman, he came back and forth, he walked back and forth past my table, and it sounded like he was speaking in expletives. It sounded like he was cursing, but I wasn't sure because I didn't know the language. And then all of a sudden he turned and he says, you've been in the restaurant all day. You've been selling drugs in my restaurant all day. And I was stunned. I was like, wait, okay, I know some blacks are drug dealers, but I'm not one of them. I went to college to avoid all that. So I was like, no, I'm sorry. I've been here working. He says, you've been here since 11 a.m. And I know that's not right. And I was good with a little going back until he stepped right in my personal space and stood over me, which made me have to stand up because you can't have someone step in your personal space that's not invited. And upon me doing that, me being a bigger guy than him, he immediately retreated and said, I'm going to call the police. Now, as anyone knows, for us, that's not typically a good thing when someone says they're going to call the police, especially when we haven't done anything. But I remained calm, and I contacted my immediate supervisor, who was not available to respond. I called her phone. I texted her several times, nothing. I said, okay, I'll figure this out. The next thing you know, 6 guys came in. More mature, somewhat close to the age of the gentleman who initiated this confrontation, and they all glared at me. And I turned around and looked, and they all started speaking the same language, which I found out was Greek. And I said, oh, this is good. And so I texted my brother. My brother said, hey, do you mean come down there? I said, and first I was going to say, yeah, but I said, no, we don't need 2 black guys down here on the north side of Chicago in this guy's shop where he's already complaining to stay by your phone, stay posted. I kept trying to contact my immediate supervisor. No response. I finally contacted Steve. Steve was the guy above everybody. And he says, the first thing he says was, did you try to contact Liz, who was the immediate supervisor? I said, yeah, she didn't answer. He says, okay, well, remain calm, we'll look into it. And I'm sitting here like, okay. And as I hang up the phone for him, the police arrive. They immediately come in. The Latino gentleman stands by me. He says, just remain calm. And I was pretty calm considering the circumstances. The other gentleman, he went back towards the back where these guys were, and he started speaking Greek just like the rest of them. And I said, oh, my goodness, this is not good. And he comes back after a while. He says, hey, what's going on? I tell him my story. I'm supposed to be here. This is a study. We're in different places. Somebody was here yesterday. He said he didn't know that. I said, how could he not know? His name is on the list of people as the owner and somebody else with a contact. How could he not know? He said, well, he wants you out of the restaurant. And I said, okay, that's fine. Sure. Are you guys arresting me? He said, no, nothing like that. The Latino officer says to me, when I'm out of my uniform and doing security, I get the same treatment. I said, I doubt it. I packed up my stuff and was getting ready to leave out, and I decided to turn around and walk back towards the gentleman. The other gentlemen that were with him stood up, and I put my hands up to tell him, no, it's not that. And I reached out my hand and I said, sir, you have a fine establishment here. Your turkey burger is magnificent. Thank you for having me. And he was stunned. And he extended his hand and shook my hand. He said, Merry Christmas, because it was around that time. And I said, Merry Christmas, sir. Take care. And I turned and walked back. When I got back to what was called Ground Zero, Steve talked about what it was like to be courageous and all that, despite that. And he started crying. And I thought to myself, why did he start crying? It didn't happen to him. But I got it. He pulled me aside later on and he asked me, he says, they say you went up to the guy and told him, thank you for letting him be in the establishment. Why did you do that? And I said, 2 reasons. My parents always taught me, always show class. My father especially said, always be a gentleman, even in circumstances when it dictates that it may not be conducive. Always remain class, always be a gentleman. And number 2, I told him, like I tell y'all, I was supposed to be there. I'm black. That doesn't disregard my presence. I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to work. I'm supposed to be able to drive. I'm supposed to be able to love, live my life just like anybody else. I'm supposed to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.